Activated.
Analyzing.
Update complete.
What's up, lore masters? I decided that for today's video, I'd just anger some people, cause why not? Seems to be fun enough. But before I do that, I want to let you guys know that recently the Anti-Trekker's wife, named Mrs. Anti-Trekker, I guess, lost her sister recently. Right now they're trying to get her across the country so she can go to the funeral and be with her family. You can click on the PayPal below to donate. And don't worry, I'll be removing the link once they get to their goal or enough time has passed, so any help you guys can do is truly appreciated. Now back to the topic at hand. To be honest, I've finally gotten tired of being called a sexist every time I give legitimate reasons not to like Michael Burnham. Not that I think this will actually persuade any sycophant out there, but at least I'll have a video I can send them to and not worry about it going forward. Michael Burnham is quite clearly just badly written, so to that end, today I'll be contrasting two different characters. One I enjoy very much, Hera Syndulla, and the complete Mary Sue, Michael Burnham. As I said, I find it quite interesting that every time I criticize Discovery, I'm called a sexist. Though, I admit it happens enough times that I finally decided to take an in-depth look at myself. I asked some of my closest friends and looked at how I reacted to different characters in different genres and different scenarios. Quite sincerely, I would hate to have some type of quote-unquote internalized misogyny and not even realize it. But when I did this introspective and I considered if I hate women or I hate women being in leads or in different roles, I found that it's not true. There are quite a few women whom I think are strong characters, and I love watching them when they're in the various scenarios in the various episodes. When I think about the female characters I enjoy, it would include Ripley from Aliens, Buffy Summers from Vampire Slayer, Jessica from Jessica Jones, and Hera Syndulla from Star Wars Rebels. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many, many more, but for the purposes of this exercise, let's just compare the two that I've already mentioned, Hera Syndulla and Michael Burnham. I do suppose it would only be fair to compare both of them and what qualities they both enjoy, if I'm about to rip Michael to shreds. To that note, let's analyze and see what they have in common. Both Michael and Hera are very attractive, capable individuals with well-thought-out backstories, and both of them are able to handle their situations with grace and ultimately able to save the day in many instances when their counterparts, male or female, fail to do so. Now, unfortunately, the nuance of the individual situation shows how one character is written very well and the other is either written poorly or just a poor attempt at pandering and propaganda. Let's go ahead and break it down. First, when you look at the accomplishments of Hera and Michael, Hera's accomplishments feel earned and her failures have consequences, whereas Michael Burnham feels like she is given everything on a silver platter. When we take a look at the accomplishments of Hera, for every 2 feet she moves forward, she feels like she's knocked back 1 foot, and it sticks. During her battles with the Empire, a common antagonist, Thrawn, would often use family relics or the past of the Twi'lek culture to manipulate her. And when it worked, when he was able to get to Hera, she would make mistakes and bad things would happen. But you know what? She learned from this. She grew, and she would ultimately not only prevent herself from being manipulated by Thrawn, but turn the tables on him. Conversely, when we look at Michael, there's really no action she takes that has a serious consequence or doesn't give her a leg up. I mean, hell, just look at the very beginning of the show. When Michael is presented with a Klingon threat, what does she do? She mutinies and attempts to attack the Klingon ship, thinking that attacking will prevent a war. She is stopped and a war does occur. And you know what? By Discovery logic, not Trek, but Discovery, she should have fired on the Klingons to stop a war. She was right. And then they stopped her. And so the great Michael Burnham couldn't save the day. To that end, she is convicted of being a mutineer and blamed as the sole cause of the war. Even though, again, the war is not her fault, as we discussed. She is then given the ability to be a bridge officer on the most important ship in Starfleet with a top-secret spore drive that can transport you everywhere. Are you fucking kidding me? Every time Michael is shown to have a flaw or do something that will result negatively, it ultimately ends up being in her favor. She's either right or gets a leg up. And you know what? Should I be wrong on that? Should you find an example of me being wrong? I assure you that your example or examples are the exception, not the rule. This is not so for Hera. Entire planets are burned. rebellion cells are destroyed, and other things happen. There is loss with Hera. There is consequence. She grows from her mistakes. Not with Michael. Again, let's take another look at Michael. What are her abilities? She is a human that was raised by a Vulcan, Sarek, after an attack by the Klingons. She is a xenoanthropologist that is at the peak form for a human. She has the ability to fight in mental battles like a Jedi, can use the Vulcan nerve pinch, has martial artist skills on par with God himself, and is knowledgeable in almost every field that is presented to her. In fact, Michael is so adept at everything that the show at times will make the fact that she might not know one small little insignificant detail that another crew member knows as a joke. She's so perfect that the fact she might get something wrong is comedic. Let's look at Hera's abilities. She is one of the best pilots out there. She is a competent engineer. She is empathetic and able to connect with people. She has a strategic mind and is one hell of a leader. But you want to know one thing she also is? She's fallible and can't do everything. She isn't a Jedi of the Ages. She's not a professional soldier. She can fight, sure, but some of her friends are much better than she is at it. But she's still integral. She can do things her cell can't do. And they can do things that she can't. And you know what? All of their skills aren't worth anything without a competent leader, which she is. Burnham can quite literally do the job for everyone else, and she does. She has shown being a better science officer than the science officer, the head of the science department. The plot has proven over and over and over again that Michael rarely needs anyone else. Hera is a stronger character because she has specific pieces to her that are irreplaceable, but she isn't everything. She's a part of a machine that couldn't operate without her, but she couldn't work without the rest of it either. So let me just say this, spoilers for both Rebels and Discovery incoming. Skip to this timestamp to ensure that you're not going to have anything spoiled for you. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's take a look at the love interests of these two and the losses that they go through. In Rebels, we meet both Kanan and Hera. The relationship between them is subtle, but definitely there. You can see that there is some form of connection, and the two care for each other. Throughout the seasons, we only see this grow. They have true moments. They fear for each other, they fight each other, they love each other. As a couple, they grow, and when Kanan sacrifices himself to save Hera, it hurts. You feel it. Everything in those last moments brings emotion. In Discovery, Michael finds a guy, and this guy takes an instant shine to her. Because she's Michael Burnham, she's standoffish because she grew up with Vulcans, and I guess that's not what you do, even though you could argue that Vulcans do have attachments. But that won't deter the guy, because she's Michael Burnham. She also has never experienced love, which is like the craziest thing ever, apparently. Ultimately, she falls in love with him, and he turns out to be a Klingon. He tries to kill her, and then after that's resolved, he goes off with the woman he first loved. By the way, on a side note, that really means that Burnham was a side chick, but let's not even get into that. Looking at Michael's love story, it's just, my God. The most epic of love stories that has ever been written. I mean, guys, do I really need to go on? I actually love the actress who plays Michael. I think she was awesome on The Walking Dead, so I know it's not the actor. I even have respect for some of the writers, but this character is just a product of bad writing. Now, to be fair, given all of the issues and rewrites of Discovery, it could more be the situation and not the skill of those who wrote the character. But that's my point. Michael Burnham was written badly. I even think more of Janeway than I do of her. I see Janeway as an honest-to-God, believable character, just a tragic one. Michael Burnham? A cheap attempt to get political points on the left because people care more about virtue signaling than good storytelling. But you know what? Those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this. This was the YouTube cut. If you'd like to see the video with clips for more context, please consider becoming a patron for as low as $1 a month. You can catch me at patreon.com/lore reloaded. Now, I do this full time and can only continue with fans like you, so thank you so much for your consideration. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and guys, I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.